Hey, what's up, everybody? This is a weekly gaming news show, episode 68. Today is October 1st. That's right, September is over. We are in October. We got Halloween, and then we got Thanksgiving, and then we got cold.
Oh, yes. Lots of food to get you ready for hibernation season. Because it's going to get cold. It was chilly as heck yesterday, man. It was a little chilly outside.
As always, I got my partner in crime, Trenell.
What's going on, everybody?
We got some news to talk about. We're going to talk crap. We're going to laugh. Hopefully we make you laugh.
Yep. And let's go ahead and get started. As always, we like to start things off with the weekly icebreaker. So if you're new to the podcast, the weekly icebreaker is a question that we like to ask between each other to get a sense of where we are on certain gaming topics. And this week, we're going back to Old Faithful. What you playing? I think this is like volume 5. I don't know.
Something like that.
I put a question mark there because I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah,
how many times we've done this.
We got to compile that and figure it out.
Yeah. So what you playing? Volume 5. This is where we just see what are we playing. So I'll go first. I've been playing a lot of indie games and a lot of 2D side-scrolling games. I feel like I'm back in the 90s because I've been playing a ton of Cuphead.
Oh man, that game looks so awesome.
It is so fun.
The soundtrack is amazing.
It's so good. The animations, the aesthetics. Yeah. That game is a masterpiece in every sense of the word, and it's challenging. It is so tough. I'm on the 3rd world right now, and I'm actually uploading it over on my gameplay channel. So if you want to check that out, it's there. But along with that, I've been playing another 2D game, and this is a beat 'em up. It's called Fight and Rage. And
I watched your volume 4 on YouTube. I was watching it yesterday while I was working on some stuff. Yeah,
it's good, man. It takes a lot of different aspects from like older generation beat 'em ups, like Streets of Rage, Final Fight, Battletoads, Double Dragons, and it kind of. Yeah,
the Michael Jackson monkey. I'm sorry to cut you off. That Michael, I had to say that thing had me rolling.
Which one?
The monkey that jumped out was dressed like Michael Jackson.
No, the monkey. He was dressed like what's it called? Bruce Lee.
Yeah, Bruce Lee. I'm sorry, I said Michael Jackson. Yeah, it's like just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, just kicked me right in the face. Yeah, so that game is dope.
Oh, that monkey.
Yeah, that game is super fun and super challenging. That seems to be like the theme going on with these games. In addition to that, and we'll talk more about this later on in the show, I've been participating in the SAG like fan game showcase, and what that is, it's an event where fan game makers, creators, and hackers, modders, they get together and they compile all of their works and they present them to the general public for like review and stuff like that. So I've been going through the list. I have my first video up on my gameplay channel as well. I've been doing a lot of work, man. I've been busy. So just going through and playing a lot of like Sonic fan games and hacks and mods and stuff like that. So I've had a lot on my plate. What about you? What have you been playing?
Destiny 2. You got that right.
Yeah.
I've been playing Destiny 2. I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2. I'm doing the raids. I'm in my clan. I left that huge clan I was in. Mm-hmm. I'm back with my original clan with guys actually I kind of know and I enjoy playing with. It's more personable. So we've been doing the raid and been playing around. It's cool. I like Destiny 2. I'm not a fan of the multiplayer. Mainly because
the PvP.
Yeah, the PvP. Yeah,
okay.
Mainly because it's the same issue. For you to be competitive, you have to use a specific weapon set.
Meta.
Yeah, and I can easily. I was just talking about this with one of my clanmates. I have the weapons. I can jump in and use those weapons, but they're not weapons I like to play with, and that's my problem. If I want to play PvP, I want to get in. I want to enjoy myself, and I can't enjoy myself using the weapons I want. And it's not fun. So I'm not a big fan of that. I've also been playing a lot of NBA Live 18. I started a franchise.
Oh, damn.
Did a fantasy draft with my New York Knicks. I'm like 12 games in the season now. I like it. I will say the gameplay I think is spot on. It can use some improvements, but like I was saying earlier after I played the demo, it's much more approachable than NBA 2K. It's not as complex, while you're still able to run complex plays and have complex moves. I like that.
So it's a little more arcadey in the sense like where 2K is like a straight up simulator.
Yeah, it's a little more arcadey. Yeah. You're able to get to the basket and do high flying, spectacular finishes instead of like in 2K, you're always doing layups, and if somebody's even close to you, you blow it. You don't have that particular issue in NBA Live. It's like you said, it's more arcadey, but I like it that way. I don't need a straight up 100% basketball sim.
Right.
But the franchise is bare bones. I think I'm like 10 years ago in the franchise mode.
Wow.
It's just the basic stuff. You know, you can do a fantasy draft. You can start with the players. You can do basic trades. And that's about it. It keeps stats. The presentation is nice because it uses the ESPN basketball presentation. It's got Jalen Rose and some of those other Van Gundy and some of the other people from the ESPN set that's on there. But
yeah,
I mean,
I remember 2K used to be like ESPN sponsored or whatnot. That was a long time ago. That was back when I used to play it.
Yep.
It was like ESPN's freaking NBA 2K like 6. That's like the last one I played.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it's good. It has some room for improvement, but by far and large, it's not a bad game. It's a very good game, in my opinion.
Yeah, 2K, they better get their act together. They got some competition again.
Yeah. Then I still get on Overwatch every now and then when I know I only got maybe 25, 30 minutes to spare. I'll jump on Overwatch and play a match or two. And then I forgot to list. I'm still playing Mario vs. Rabbids. I guess I'm about 2/3 through.
Okay.
So I'm still playing that. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time with it when I play it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't touched that game much since my like first or second time booting it up. So I definitely need to get back on that. It's not a bad game. It's I don't know. I think maybe because I'm still pretty early. I'm only in the second world. It just seems a little slow, like on like the pacing. The pacing seems kind of slow.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is slow, but that's typically how those type of games work.
Yeah,
those turn-based strategy games, they typically, the pacing is slow. Like each battle is like one step in the story, and there's hundreds of battles. There can be hundreds of battles depending on the scope of the game. So
yeah, okay. But yeah, I need to get back on that. But yeah, that was our weekly icebreaker. If you would like to submit a question for us to answer, go to our social media and just use the hashtag weekly icebreaker and ask us a question, and it might just get discussed on the stream during this segment. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next part of the podcast, and that's the quick hits. And this is where we go through a couple of like lightning round stories, and ones that don't necessarily deserve a deep dive, but stories that we do want to bring up to you guys. And first, we have somewhat of an update because we're bringing back the Atari box. That's something that we talked about a little while ago. It's been a minute since we had anything in the news about these guys. So
a couple of months, yeah.
Yeah. So what's going on with Atari?
So Atari, if you signed up for the Atari box newsletter, they just sent out a newsletter showing updates update on the progress and what exactly the Atari box is going to be. And basically what they sent out is that is going to be powered by a custom AMD processor with Radeon graphics. It's going to be, the OS is based off of Linux.
Okay.
It's going to be a full PC experience, which has me a little worried that this is less of a console and more of a Steam machine type box.
Right.
So it says it'll be full PC experience. You'll be able to stream content, listen to music, and whatever else you might want to do on the PC. And it's going to come preloaded with original Atari games, some that were imaged with like Dig Dug and Asteroids and Centipede.
The classics.
Right. And the pricing is about $250 to $300. So $249 or $299 is what they're looking at as far as pricing goes.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not overly excited, especially now that I see it's going to be more of a PC than a console. I might give it a look, but I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. My thing was, if they were coming out with a new console, like what kind of games would they have to support it? It looks like this is just going to be a glorified Steam machine. So you'll have Steam access to it, it doesn't really seem like there's going to be too much that's, Atari when it comes to this machine, except for like the aesthetics. Like it's going to have like the wood paneling on the front, and you're going to get some Atari classics with it. It doesn't seem to have much, else that's unique outside of that. I'm pretty sure it's going to support, controller support from, Xbox One and PlayStation. It's gonna be pretty much a low end PC. Yeah, low end for gaming. Right. But I don't know. Because for $300, I can't expect too much out of it.
Exactly, a $300. Basically, I'm seeing it as, based on this announcement, is like a $300 Steam box.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to do very much as far as PC game with. I mean, you can do basic low setting type stuff. I can't imagine you running anything high settings on that particular machine.
Right, because then it would cost a lot more.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing. I like the aesthetics. It looks pretty.
Yeah.
But yeah, unless they come out with some kind of crazy surprise that there's going to be its own platform with its own games developed, I don't see this being very popular. I'm leaning towards more of a Ouya type machine than a Xbox One or PlayStation type machine.
Yeah, they can't be getting into the market to try to compete with Xbox or PlayStation, because it's not going to be anywhere near as powerful. And it doesn't seem like they have their own platform to release like their own original games.
Right.
It just seems like, you'll be able to access Steam, and that's about it. So I don't know. Still a pretty cool device. It's definitely gonna grab a lot of like old school people like me and you. Just to have it, just to have one. But I don't really see the utility in the device at all. I don't see it being really utilized for anything, especially if you are already a gamer, you already have like either a PC or a console. It's not going to do much more. Right.
It's definitely not going to replace that, and I'm interested to see how well it can augment your particular setup.
Okay. What's next? What's the next quick hit we got?
NBA 2K, the esports league, they announced the date that they're going to start. The inaugural NBA 2K E-League is going to start in May of 2018. There's going to be a draft in March of 2018. Let me step back. There are tryouts that start in February of 2018. After the tryouts, if you're one of the however many people they pull from the tryouts to stick in a draft, you'll get drafted in March of 2018, and by April you will be an official, basically an NBA employee. It's going to be 5 people per team that's getting drafted. You sign a contract, so you'll be able to get sponsorship deals, benefits, and pay as part of the NBA esports team. And starting May, you start work. I mean, they move pretty quick with it. I mean, they just announced it this past winter, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, it was last year. It was last fall, right? Yeah, last winter.
Yeah. Like the end of fall, beginning of winter. I don't know. When you say things like begin work and, benefits and I don't know, it seems kind of weird that people are going to be official employees of the National Basketball Association, but, playing video games.
Exactly.
It just seems awesome. It seems a little weird. I don't know. Right. And like the fact that they're going to be able to go out and get their own sponsorships. I assume that being a part of the esports league was your sponsorship. Like you're an NBA E-League player.
Not anymore, right? Because that's like LeBron James, right? He has his own shoe deals, right? So now these esports players get their own headphone deals, right? They get the headset
crazy,
deals.
Man.
They get controller deals, right? They get the spec deals.
Yeah,
they get the thumbstick deals.
Yeah, That's wild, man. That is wild.
Right.
But
again, this is another one. Like I said, I'll peep in on Overwatch to see how that goes. I'll peep in on this to see how it's going. I'm kind of interested because essentially it's 5-on-5 multiplayer. And if you ever play a sports game, even 2-on-2 multiplayer is a mess.
Yeah, that's gonna be a.
I can't imagine how 5-on-5 is going to work.
Yeah, they're gonna have to double up on get some practice. We talk about practice, like they're gonna have
practice.
They're gonna have to do some practice and like this. I mean, there's a lot of money going into this, man. Like, it's a very serious thing.
Yeah, it is, definitely, but
I can't help but laugh, man. I don't know. I don't know. I can't laugh too hard. These guys are making way more money than me. So, good.
Yeah.
Good on you to those guys. I mean, this is probably the best thing to come out of 2K since the release of 2K18. It's been broiled in controversy.
Yeah.
So we'll see how the esports league goes, and we'll definitely check back with you guys once it starts, of course. But yeah, we have one more quick hit for you. Let's go ahead and get into that. What we got?
Okay, so last year we talked about voice actors and SAG. If you're not sure what SAG is, the Screen Actors Guild. It's actually the union. It's basically the actors union, right?
Okay.
And the voice actors are members of the SAG. It's called SAG-AFTRA. The Screen Actors Guild of American Federation of Television and Radio Artists.
All right.
But I just read that. Don't think I knew it.
Yeah, you could have played it off, man. Go, but yeah, what's going on?
So they were on strike, and they were striking the major video game companies: Activision, EA, Insomniac, Take-Two, Warner Brothers, and they were complaining about transparency. A lot of these voice actors were signing up for projects, and they were steeped in secrecy. They didn't know what they were speaking for. Right. There's actually a big story out there. There was a voice actor that acted for Fallout 4 and had no idea what he did.
That's wild.
Yeah, and the other one was prevention of vocal stress from the recording sessions, stunt coordinators being on hand. And when they talk about stunt coordinators, we're not talking about stunt for talking, but when they do the mocap.
Right.
A lot of times when they're doing the mocap, apparently they weren't stunt coordinators. And those are the people that are the experts that'll show you safely how to perform a stunt and so on and so forth. And the last part was secondary pay based on video game sales, basic residuals.
Yeah.
Now, of course, anytime there's a strike, the workers, they don't get everything they want, but they did make some concession. They made some progress. So now they will know what they're actually working on. I'm assuming they'll have to sign NDAs. They're not getting bonus payments based on sales of the game, but they are getting paid extra based on number of sessions.
Okay. Yeah, because sometimes people have to go back in for like DLC and stuff like that. Like after the game has already come out, they have to go back in.
They only get paid once for that project. Now they get paid extra. I think it's up to like something like $2,100 or something like that extra. Then also they will be made aware if any of the content or like the job is requires them to use unusual terminology, and think of like profanity, racial slurs, sexual or violent, extremely violent type of lines and acting, because some people don't want to do that stuff. Some people don't care, but there's some people that wouldn't want to do that type of work, don't want to be associated with it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Before they didn't know, now they know. And there's other stuff, but thank you for clearing this up. I didn't see where it affected any of the games that were already in progress, but I'm sure there's a few games out there that were delayed because of this.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that I thought about when we first reported on the strike, was that there's still like mad games coming out with a lot of like high end and voice actors providing their voice. So exactly what is being what is this determining exactly? Because you still have games coming out, you still have these actors lending their voices. So I don't know, but yeah, it was most likely for future projects, or maybe even some stuff we haven't even heard of yet. So
I would imagine if they were already contracted, they may have needed to finish that based on the contract. They may not have. And there's also scabs, people that aren't part of this Screen Actors Guild that probably did some work. And there's probably projects that were placed on hold, because remember, a game being developed is multifaceted. They can do all of the screen acting later on and add it after they do all the assets. So, there's many ways they could have gotten around the strike not affecting them that much. But I'm sure there's some effect to be out there. Even in the quality of voice acting in the game, maybe they didn't get the high quality actor they wanted, and they just
they had to go with somebody else. Yeah, Jim from accounting.
Right. Right. So, like I said, there's some places where I don't think unions are necessary. When you look at what these voice actors have to go through, and actors in general, I believe they do need that protection. Otherwise, they get ran over. And
any I don't know. It's like any job. where you don't have the protection. Like there's going to be people that are going to want to take advantage.
Right.
So I feel like they definitely need a protection because some of these voice actors go way above and way beyond, and they're super high profile too. Like you hear these guys in like anime and cartoons. So when they lend their voices to video games, and you got them like yelling and screaming and doing all types of stuff that can damage their voice.
Exactly.
For your video game, and
hours and hours and hours.
Right, and they don't know what game they're performing in. They have no idea how much it's going to sell, and if the game is like a AAA freaking like Fallout 4 type title with they don't see any residuals.
They don't see any residuals. Right.
That's kind of that's a bad deal, my boy.
But I think the biggest problem is with the transparency, them not knowing the project. Like you said, they could be working on some indie game, or they could be working on Call of Duty. And if they're working on an indie game, they can expect one salary. But if they're working for Activision, they're going to expect a bigger salary, right?
Yeah.
So I mean that type of thing is an issue. So I'm glad that they're able to make some kind of gains, and hopefully they can work in peace for the next foreseeable future.
Yeah. So that was our quick hits. If you have anything that you would like to submit to us, make sure you do so via our social media. We're on Twitch and on Facebook. You just use the hashtag quick hits, and you can submit a story to us. We may talk about it, or we may add it into the top 5 news stories. But if you want to hear your story be discussed on the show, make sure you submit it to us. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the next segment of the podcast. But before we get into that, I'd like to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, everybody over at the New Challengers. So if you're playing fighting games and you want to get good, the New Challenger Discord is the place for you, full with lots of people that are well versed in the fighting game community. The New Challengers is the place where you can learn by one-on-one coaching, tutorials. It's the best place. So go ahead and head over to newchallenger.gg and get well versed in your favorite fighting game. They are now supporting Tekken 7, Injustice 2, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and Street Fighter 5. And I think they have a small Mortal Kombat X community going on there with other games coming down in the future. So that's newchallenger.gg, and also hit those guys up on Twitter and on Twitch because they have weekly content that goes up, like the beginner breakdown, and you can get one-on-one coaching. They have fight nights, and they have weekly tournaments to get you in that competitive mode. So big shout out to Mr. Vinegar, who is the founder of the Discord channel, and another big shout out to Mount Lover, who is a friend of the Weekly Gaming News Show, as well as a moderator for the Discord, coach, and a commentator for the Street Fighter V North American tournament. So big ups to those guys. Thank you all for sponsoring the show. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of the podcast, and that's the top 5 news stories for this week. Now we have some doozies for you. We have a lot of very interesting stories that we want to bring up, and the first is Atlus. They are back in the news. And if you're unfamiliar with Atlus, they are the developers. They're a subsidiary of Sega, and they are the developers of the highly regarded Persona series. And they were in the news before because of the streaming requirements or streaming restrictions.
Limits.
Restrictions.
That's right.
Yeah, they put a whole bunch of limits and restrictions on how the game was to be streamed and uploaded to YouTube, via if you were doing a Let's Play, and it went by really bad. There was a lot of fans that did not appreciate that. So of course they backpedaled, and now everything's good. But they're back in the news because they have ordered a DMCA takedown for the developers of a PS3 emulator.
Right, and that. Whew.
Ooh, man.
I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah,
because it's an emulator. The problem was they started, the emulators were RPCS3, right?
Yeah.
And the emulator was actually advertising that it's compatible with Persona 5, and that's what got Atlus's attention. Their reasoning is because Persona 5 is best experienced on a console. What?
Yeah, I don't know. And Persona 5 it's a weird case with Persona 5 because the game is available for both PS4 and PS3 in Japan and only on PS4 in America.
And yeah, Western areas in Europe
Western,
too.
yeah.
Right.
So the fact that they got this working on the PS3, because I don't, I mean there probably is, but I have no idea of a PS4 emulator that works,
Right.
That functions properly. But this PS3 emulator has been, the project has been going on for a long time, and they have a functioning version of Persona 5 available for play. And
Right.
of course, you do not need to own the game in order to play it on your PC. All you have to do is just go to a website, download it, get some drivers or whatever, and you're playing a full version of a current retail game.
Right, and the thing is, you do have to own a version. Basically, what it does, the way it works is, you basically have to sideload or load your PS3 games onto your hard drive. And if you use an external hard drive, you just unplug it from your PlayStation and plug it into your PC, and the emulator will be able to read the file and play it for you. Right.
I mean, you can do that, or you can just get the files from an external source. That's the case that I'm making, is that you don't necessarily need to own the game in order to emulate it.
Right, but this emulator, I'm saying that because that's the way they were getting around any trouble, right?
Right.
They were saying you own the game on your PlayStation 3, you just take your PlayStation 3 information that you already own and plug it into your PC, or load it to your PC for you to play that way. They weren't necessarily advocating going out and getting ISOs or anything like that. But yeah, Atlus saw that they were advertising Persona 5. They didn't like it. They sent to DMCA. For their credit, it seems like the emulator is still up, but they did take down all mention of Persona from their sites, from their marketing, and from the list of games. I think they even took it down from the list of games available.
Right, the list of functioning games or whatever, yeah. Right,
so they're still up. They just took down all record of Persona 5, but I think this is a bit heavy-handed. I can see them saying take Persona 5 off your site before them to try to take the entire emulator down. I think that was a bit of a reach.
Yeah, they're going to need a lot more. They're going to have to come with a little bit more if they want to take down a whole emulation community, because emulation has been around since forever. There's an emulator for just about every console generation, and I don't think that Atlus has the weight or the pull to just take down emulation entirely. Right. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. No. But I don't know. For me, I tend to only emulate when it's like a necessity. Like if I'm like showcasing a game, or if I'm like live streaming or something. If I don't have the means to record it myself, like for instance, I have a Super Nintendo and I have Donkey Kong Country, but I have no way to record that gameplay. Right.
To connect it to your system, right?
Yeah, I have no way of doing that. So in that case, I would emulate, and that's most of the time that's what I do. But there are cases like when I play Dokapon Kingdom, I don't own that game, and I probably never will, but I like playing it. It's a fun game, so I emulate it, and it's pretty old. You won't see me emulating anything that came out within the last 10 years, and that's usually how I my conscience is clear. That's usually how I steal games. No, right? But I don't know. It's an interesting story. I'm curious as to how far Atlus is gonna want to take this, and how far it'll go. But like you said, the emulator is still up. They're still functioning. They just took everything dealing with Persona off of their website.
Off of their website. Yep, that's correct.
So we'll see what happens.
We'll keep our eye open.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely keep our eye open on that. But let's go ahead and move on to the next story. And this is my jam because, like I stated in the weekly icebreaker, the Sonic Amateur Games Expo is currently live. And if you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's a event, an online event that goes on, and a bunch of hackers, Sonic game hackers, modders, fan game makers, they get together and they present their projects or their works to the general public. A lot of these are builds that are just early builds and betas and demos and whatnot. But some of the projects that have come out of Sage have come out of Sage have gone on to be like full retail games, like Planet Freedom. That was a game that was presented on Sage in its early form, and then it went on to get backing and whatnot. Other games as well, like Sonic Before and After the sequel. Those developers went on to create their own games and actually be funded through Kickstarter. So it's a really cool event. A lot of people get to showcase what they've been working on, and if you would like to go and look at these games, like they're all available for download for free. All you have to do is just go to sonicretro.org, I think is the website, and they have links to where you can play each and every one of the games that are currently like on the show floor, quote unquote. But yeah, it's super cool. It's a super fun event, and lots of Sonic games for you to play.
Is there an open Discord, a chat room that you can speak with, or like forums that you can go in?
Yes. Sonic Retro is the forum. So yeah, they have all that information on there as well, and they have like individual web pages for a lot of the different projects. There's also a section where you can leave your thoughts and opinions on the games directly to the developers, which is also really cool. And like I said earlier, I'm currently going through all of the games and showcasing and giving my first impressions on them. So if you want to see what I think on a lot of these projects, you can check that out. It'll be on my my gameplay channel, the YTOS.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, super cool. And this is like the first time that they've done it in a few years. It's not an annual event. But
they didn't do one last year?
No, I don't believe so. I think the last one they did was like 2014. Yeah, I don't think they had one in 2016. They did. I missed it. No, they did.
Yeah, I remember us talking about it.
Oh yeah. They did. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think before last year had been a while. It had been a couple years.
They didn't
before.
have it. Yeah, they didn't have it in 2015. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, that's So go to Sonic Retro. It's all over, and you can check out those very very talented fan games. Cool. So what's the next story? What we got?
We got free games.
Hey,
free games. October's PlayStation Plus games, and Sony, they did a big one this month. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, is one of the PlayStation Plus games this month, and I mean, if you is Kojima's swan song at Konami, he got kicked out after this, but I mean. Metal Gear Solid fans enjoyed it. They thought it was great. I've never been a Metal Gear Solid fan.
Well, some Metal. Let's not speak for all Metal Gear Solid fans, because okay. I know some that definitely did not like it.
Let's say it was critically accled when it came out.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's say it that way. That's better, right?
Yeah, that's way better.
So it was critically acclaimed when it came out. It was one of the biggest PlayStation 4 releases early on, and yeah, it's free. And that's cool, I guess. Then also with that, there's also going to be Amnesia, right?
Yeah, the Amnesia Collection.
The Amnesia Collection is both games, right? The Dark Descent and the Machine for Pigs, which is basically like a first-person horror. It's like a horror puzzler, right?
Yeah.
And then for PlayStation 3, there's Monster Jam Battlegrounds and House of Kings. And then for PlayStation Vita, there's Hue and Skyforce Anniversary. Both PlayStation Vita games are cross-buy compatible, so you can buy them and play them on your PlayStation 4. And like I mentioned before it used to be a real pain in the tail, but now you can actually, if you have the app on your mobile device, you can get them right off of the app. I still haven't checked to see if they updated PlayStation 4 to allow for downloading. Before you weren't able to, but the cross-buy titles, but you definitely can get them out of the app.
Right, and in addition to those 4 games, the 2 VR games that were available last month are still available.
That's right.
Yeah. So what were those 2 games?
One of them is called
That's
Battle
You.
Rigs.
Yeah, Rigs, Mechanized Combat League, and That's You. So those are 2 PSVR games that are still available for free. if you have the PSVR. So
for the 6 people that still use your PSV.
yeah, so for the people that still have their PSVRs collecting dust after Resident Evil 7,
Right,
waiting on that DLC.
Yeah, because like we had this offline because I was this close to buying a PSVR and yeah, there's no games.
Yeah, no games.
I went through the games and there was nothing. I mean, Ace Combat that's coming out, that'd be interesting, but I don't think that's coming out till like winter, like January of next year. It's not coming out till next year.
Oh damn!
So I'm not that crazy. Hopefully they'll get a price drop. I know just recently Amazon gave it $100 price drop. I think last week or 2 weeks ago it was on sale for $100 off. But it seemed like it was only the one that didn't come with the camera. I want to say, but that, to be fair, that one was also discounted, so it seemed like it was just them clearing stock, as opposed to like some kind of major sale. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5 is
that's a must. That's a must download. I feel like you should just have that on your hard drive, even if you're not necessarily a Metal Gear fan. You should just have that.
This is what I will do.
Okay.
I will accept the purchase. I won't download it though.
Well, no, you can have. I mean, have it in your library. I mean,
right, have it in your library.
Yeah, it should be in your library.
But remember, you have to be an active PS Plus subscriber.
Yeah. So if your PlayStation Plus account expires, those games expire as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to the next story, and we have more free games. This time on the Xbox side of things, as the October's Games with Gold lineup has been announced. So let's go ahead and go through the list. First game that we have on Xbox One is called Go Home, and this is the console edition. I'm not sure what edition was out before this. Like, is this a mobile game or something?
No, it was a PC game.
A PC game.
And okay. They made a console version. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And then we also have the Turing Test.
The Turing Test.
Turing Test. Sorry, can't read. But yeah, these are 2 games that I've never heard of. What about you, Boogie?
Well, I've heard of the Turing Test a while ago. It's a puzzle. Isn't it a puzzler? No. What is the Turing Test? It's no idea. It's a puzzle. It's a first-person puzzle game. I don't know. I can't even say it looks interesting because it really doesn't. The game that does look interesting is the first one, but I'm probably wouldn't be bothering with that either.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 360 games.
Yeah. So the 360 games that are coming out. We first up we have Rayman 3 HD, and then we have Medal of Honor Airborne. And like always, the Xbox 360 games are available on Xbox One via the backwards compatibility program. So all you have to do is just go into your menu, go to the games with gold icon, and then just install them, and they're ready to be played.
That's right. I don't know. This month again is subpar in my opinion for games with gold. Yeah. I mean,
they're really trying to like showcase these kind of like obscure or more obscure games instead of going with more familiar like titles that people may gravitate towards.
So something I've been noticing, and I just looked at this. The decline in the quality of games with gold kind of coincides with the announcement of Microsoft's Game Pass. So I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean it might, because they're definitely trying to push that.
Right, where they're trying to ferry people over to the Game Pass. But I mean, don't get me wrong, because I'm not interested in the games doesn't make the games bad. It's just the last couple of months, the past 3 or 4 months, Sony has given out 2 to 3 high-end AAA titles, and Microsoft hasn't countered with anything of note. I mean, they've countered with some fan favorites, some indie darlings, but nothing out there that's like, wow, this like the reaction with Metal Gear, where this is a must-have. Was it last month? It was Infamous. It was the Infamous Son.
Second Son, yeah.
Yeah, Infamous Second Son. So I mean, I don't know. Doesn't really excite me.
Yeah.
I'm hoping at some point they pick up their game here and give us something, at least, one great title.
Yeah, because they're definitely pushing these like indie. They're pushing these indie games like it's nobody's business,
right?
Because last month we had like Oxenfree or whatever. And
right.
I tried that game and it was more of like a 2D like story game, It's like story driven game. So I wasn't really feeling it, but no. I don't know. I may try Gone Home just to see what it's like, and I already own Rayman 3 HD. Right. So that's already available for me through the backwards compatibility program. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Not the best month.
No.
For the Xbox.
And before we go, also Microsoft did announce that they're adding more games to Xbox Game Pass. Starting today, October 1st. They've added Super Street Fighter 4, State of Decay, Saints Row: Gat Out of Hell, The Bug Butcher, Costume Quest 2, Matilda Castilla EX, Tower of Guns, and the Tower of Guns. So couple of big games: Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, and State of Decay, and even Saints Row: Gat Out of Hell are big name titles, and a couple of smaller titles. Again, this is with the Microsoft Game Pass. It's $10 a month. You have access to all of these games as long as you maintain your membership.
Right. And these are the games that are being rotated into circulation, because like every so often they'll take some games out and then like add in new ones. Right.
And they didn't mention or announce any games that they were removing.
Right.
So and then also, this is something I came across when I was reading the article. Apparently, if you're a Microsoft Game Pass member, they have challenges for you to complete each month. And if you complete the challenge, you're guaranteed to win a prize. And the prizes can be Xbox Live Gold, gift cards, movies, DLC, and a grand prize. One lucky grand prize winner each month can win a $500 gift card to the Microsoft Store. So they seriously are pushing this.
Trying to give you incentive to not only actively purchase the program, but to participate in these challenges so that you can get free stuff. More free stuff.
This is what I would say about the Game Pass. Somebody like you and I that are super selective is not really I don't think is a good deal, because most of the games we've probably already played. Right. And if we didn't play them, it's because we didn't want to play them. But for somebody like and I ran into somebody like this. It's a family. They have two kids. They have two boys, right? I think it was like 11 and 9 or something like that, 12 and 9.
Okay.
But they brought them an Xbox, and they were waxing poetic at how they pay for Xbox Live. They have the family plan, so both kids share it, and then they got this Game Pass for $10 a month, and they're just over the moon, because they say, I pay $120 a month, and these kids have tons of games to play instead of me spending $60 every couple of months. I mean, that's basically $120 a year is 2 games, and kids typically want 4 to 5, maybe 6 games in a year. So I mean,
so if you did not start if you're starting with like either this gen or last gen, if that was like your first console generation, this is definitely for you, because there are tons of games that you most likely missed out on, that are really good games.
Right. And like I said, the family setting deal that really clicked with me.
Yeah.
Because you got kids, especially when they're younger kids, they're not going to all want to play the same games. And, instead of you having to go out and buy multiple games and multiple copies, spending the $60 every time, even $30 or $40 each time, you just pay your $10 a month and you get what you want. And this particular generation coming up are used to this subscription type services. When you look at the Netflixes and the Spotify's and all of that stuff that's out there. So I was that kind of got me thinking when I was talking to him. He was it was at gymnastics. His kid was there. He was one of his daughter. Apparently he has 3 kids, but his daughter was doing the gymnastics, but his other kid was there with a Switch.
Oh,
and we just got kind of talking about it. And he was like, "Yeah, I got the Xbox and the Game Pass, and it's great." I was like, "Wow, that's cool."
Well, that's dope. That's dope. But yeah, we have one more story for you guys, so let's go ahead and get into it because this one is a doozy, and we're gonna spend a little bit of time on this one because Boogie's favorite company is back in the news. We talking about Nintendo. Oh yeah. So, exactly what's going on with Nintendo? Do you want me to say it?
No, I will say it. So Nintendo, they have this thing, right? It's a partner program they have. You sign up, you sign up with it, and you give them your YouTube channel name and all of this stuff. You become a Nintendo partner, and you can stream stuff, right? Well, not anymore.
Nope.
Because Nintendo just sent out a notification to all of the Nintendo, what are they called?
Nintendo Creators Program. That's what it's called.
Nintendo's Creator Program. They sent an email out to the Nintendo Creators Program partner saying you are no longer allowed to live stream Nintendo IPs on YouTube at all. Period. End of story.
Yep.
That's it. And the weird part is only if you are in that Nintendo's Creators Program. And they gave two workarounds. They said either create a new account and stream from that, or leave the unlink your account from the Nintendo's Creator Program, and you can stream, but you have to submit for our permission. I don't know if this is their way of just trying to get rid of that program, or if there's something else in the works at Nintendo.
I don't know, man. Like, here's my thoughts on it. I've always been under the impression that the Creators Program was a terrible deal, because essentially you are giving up, I think anywhere from 60 to 70% of 60% of the advertising revenue over to Nintendo.
But
go ahead.
It's a good deal because when you're not a Nintendo Creators Program partner and you stream on YouTube, they take 70%. They tag you. We've seen this, right, on our own channel. They tag the videos. They're taking 70%. Any monetary gain from a video that Nintendo tags, 70% of it goes to Nintendo, where 30% goes to the channel owner.
Yeah, I don't even know how that works because anytime I've played or streamed anything Nintendo that hasn't been like whitelisted, because there is a list of games that have been like whitelisted, like they don't collect ad revenue on. If it's not whitelisted, they are hitting your channel up like crazy. I did a 3-hour stream of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and there were 32 separate hits on that live stream. A lot of it was for music, but the unique thing was some of it was for visual content. So the actual game itself, the visuals were being monetized by Nintendo. And so a lot of people that are in the partnership program right now are going to start seeing those notifications and getting those emails very soon if streaming was, one way that they got their Nintendo games up onto their channel.
Right. Well, and they didn't. There was no mention on the play with videos, the post videos, or the pre-recorded videos, I should say. They did specifically say live streaming.
Yeah,
so
specifically,
So I'm not sure where that tact is coming from or where that stance is on that, but I think it's super heavy-handed. Nintendo is notorious for just being unfriendly to the streaming community in general. With the heavy-handed, their DMCA takedowns, their strikes, their marks, they're basically they're basically bogarting revenue from streamers, right? So I mean, they have a point because it is their content, but
man, in my opinion, live streaming and videos on YouTube has been the #1 source of advertising for a lot of these gaming companies. A lot of people they don't get their news directly from the source. They may get a live streamer or like a let's player, and they'll see them play it and they'll be like, okay, that looks like a game that I want to play, and then they'll go out and buy it.
Right.
That's where a lot of people get their first impressions from from people that like to stream and make videos out of Nintendo properties. And for a long time, the partnership program was a way that you can do that and make money on YouTube. Because there's a lot of like big channels that I know about that, you know, the majority of their content is Nintendo games.
Right.
And with the creators program, you can either have your entire channel be like a Nintendo creator channel, or you can submit, you know, specific videos. But I don't know, this just seems like they are trying to wean people off of the creators program so that they can come up with something different.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking either they're just going to shut it down completely, or maybe they have some other plans.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what it could be, but I'm sure there's a lot of Nintendo creator program people out there that weren't very happy when they saw that email that went out like a couple of days ago.
Right.
So we'll have to see exactly how it's going to impact, you know, the big channels, especially the ones that were mostly streaming channels. We'll have to see how those people are impacted by this news. But this kind of just like segues into our long form as well. So let's go ahead and jump into the long form.
Yeah.
And what's the topic specifically?
So this week we're going to talk about streamers and big IPs when an IP owner comes after their property. So I mean, just like we were talking, I mean these, and we talked about it with our first big story, right? The Atlus story. And we're talking about it again here with Nintendo. And this isn't the first time. I mean, we talked about the PewDiePie debacle and him getting a DMCA.
Right.
And the problem with the streaming community is that they have very little control. They may think we have a lot of control as far as what we're streaming and when we stream it, but at the end of the day, if Nintendo, if Atlus, if Activision, if Bungie, if any of those companies decides that they don't want their stuff streamed anymore, they can just turn it off, and streamers have no recourse. And specifically in this Nintendo issue, this latest Nintendo development, I should say, streamers are set to lose 10% of their revenue. You think about that, because a lot of times streamers aren't making a lot, but some of the top tier streamers could be making tens of thousands of dollars, and you immediately are going to lose 10% because they're going to put you back in that public bucket where the creators program, it was a 60-40 split, and the public bucket is a 70-30 split where Nintendo's taking 70 and you're getting 30, whereas before it was they were taking 60 and you were getting 40. I don't see why Nintendo needs, or even the big companies would need, to just grab that money other than just pure greed. It's not as if Nintendo can't make money or isn't making money, especially now with the Switch. I just don't understand it, and I'm really torn because we've talked about this, how I expect people to defend their intellectual properties,
right,
but there also needs to be some type of protections for fair use. If I'm using it as you intended, and when I say as you intended, you make a game, you want me to play the game, and if that's what I'm doing, and with me playing the game, I'm sharing my experience with a community, I don't see why that should be a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing about fair use and about, you know, uploading videos onto YouTube and streaming and whatnot is that you know, the fair use, it all comes down to whether or not it's transformative in nature. Like that's a you know, so that's verbiage that comes up a lot when you're dealing with fair use, and like, is it transformative? Like, because you can have you know, like a video where, you know, you're giving your experience, you have like, you know, extensive like hours of editing and whatnot that goes into it, and then you have other videos that's basically just the game. Like there's no voiceover, there's no special edits or cuts or anything like that. It's not transformative. So I can see both sides of it, where, you know, you have like actual content creators that go out of their way to create something that's their own in their own style.
Right.
In which case, yeah, I can understand why they should get a share of the ad revenue. You know, they're putting in the work. You know, they have their audience that enjoys what they do. Mm-hmm. But then you have just, you know, and now I wouldn't even call it like a let's play. Like, it's just like a playthrough of the game. It's just the entirety of the game. Right. You know, from you know, beginning to end, and that's it.
There's no commentary, no addition,
Right.
no anything. I can understand IPs not wanting that up, especially
Right.
like if it's something like a Persona 5 where there's tons of spoilers,
Yeah.
involved, or like Mass Effect. If you don't want just people uploading full playthroughs, that's fine. But if you have like what you do, where you start playing the game, there's a lot of commentary, there's a lot of interaction with your community. There's even what do you want to call interaction where the community you listen to a community suggestion. What do you want to play? What mode should I play? Which way should I go? That type of thing. That's much different than just me sitting in front of a game playing it from point A to point B and just uploading that video.
Yeah.
And some companies seem to get it, and some companies don't get it.
Yeah.
And some companies just don't care.
No, and Nintendo has been notorious with this. I mean, the reason Super Smash Bros. 4 doesn't have a story mode is because Super Smash Bros. Brawl, that story mode was uploaded to YouTube in its entirety. And the developers and the people behind Smash Bros. They specifically stated that it's like, oh, we don't want the entire story uploaded to YouTube, so we're not going to put a story in the next game. Like, that was specifically stated. So Nintendo takes it very seriously,
right?
And like, dude, like if I were to just go through my uploads on my gameplay channel, there's tons of like hits, copyright hits, and like I cannot monetize those videos. Like I can't.
Even on the 10 and 10s, anytime that I do a 10 and 10 and I use a Nintendo story with a video, we get the hit, right?
Yeah, we get the hit. Yeah,
it's
even if there's no audio, even if it's in a small little box like on the screen where you can it's just referencing the material. We'll get a hit, and it's crazy. Some companies are like Konami's like that as well. They do not like.
Oh yeah, Konami.
Yeah, Konami's a very big one.
Yeah. They kicked. That's who was kicking me off when we were doing our E3.
Yeah.
Anytime I showed any Konami content, I got booted.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. And the thing is, like, this here is a news show, right? And this should be protected by fair use, but apparently, I don't think that really matters.
Nah, it doesn't. I don't know. And these guys, they're in full control. Like they own the IP. They set the ground rules. So it's like, what are you gonna do? And Nintendo didn't really give a lot of options for the current creators. And apparently, you can be booted out of the creator program like at any given notice.
Right. If you're streaming that game and you do or say something they don't like, you're gone.
Yeah, you can be gone the next day. And a huge part of the Nintendo Creator Program is that if you're really huge, they'll give you like advanced copies and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden it's just gone, and they don't give you any explanation as to why. I mean, just with this story that we just talked about, they gave no explanation as to why they're doing this.
They just did it. It's like, this is what we're doing. That's it.
This is the new policy. You can either deal with it or you can opt out of the creators program. Like, that's
pretty much. No, well, you have to. You have to opt. If you want to live stream any Nintendo games, you can't be in that live creators program.
Yeah,
Creator Partners program, whatever it's called. The Nintendo Creators Program is what it is, right? Yeah. So I struggle with this because, like I said, I understand you want to protect your content, but I mean there should be boundaries, right? I mean there's so much you really need to do, and I wonder if Nintendo's really missing out, or if they care if they're missing out on revenue for not having these live streams. Because, like you said, these streamers, they drive sales to the game. So much so that Twitch, Amazon's is the parent company. Twitch set up a program where you can buy games directly buy the game a streamer is currently streaming.
It's currently streaming, and then that streamer will get a percentage.
Right, we'll get a cut. So I don't. When you look at companies doing that, and developers have to be on board for that, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So if you have that side of the story, and then you have Nintendo and Atlus, and there was another company that was really heavy-handed.
Sega for a little while, but then they wised up.
Yeah. No, it was a story we recently did. We did an Atlus one. We've done plenty of Nintendo ones. There was another company that was causing waves with their seemingly restrictive limits on streaming, but I forget who it is.
Remember.
But yeah, it's just I don't think it's doing them any good. And the way the community is, the gaming community is now, when you start messing with their favorite streamers, messing with their favorite personalities, that's actually going to be a negative on you, and it could cause more problems and less sales for you. So I
already have enough issues with Nintendo right now as it is. Like this, adding this to their like laundry list of issues that people have with them, I don't know. It's not really doing them any favors.
Right.
So I'm sure that, you know, this isn't something that's going to be like, you know, like they're not going to backpedal on this. Like Nintendo has been pretty clear on their stance on live streaming and, you know, uploading their IPs and their content to YouTube. They've been pretty clear on it. So, and like you were stating, like with the buyers program on Twitch, where you can, you know, get a share of the profits if somebody like buys a game that you're streaming. I'm almost certain that Nintendo has nothing to do with that at all.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, there's no way Nintendo will ever allow anything like that. Just because they're still on the ilk that we're Nintendo and we shit gold. You know, whatever we don't have to do anything. All we have to do is put Mario on it. All we have to do is put Zelda on it, and people are going to buy it. And unfortunately, to an extent, it's kind of true.
Yeah.
Because people go crazy anytime there's a new Zelda. People go crazy with Mario. I mean,
sure. People go crazy whenever there's a new Nintendo Direct, even if they don't freaking announce anything.
Exactly.
It's a freaking like a moment. Like, oh God, we have another Nintendo Direct. It's like they don't really give us anything. And like that's been my problem with Nintendo this entire console life cycle. Even though it's been very short, you know, the console hasn't been out for very long, but I have a serious gripe with how Nintendo is handling the Switch right now. Like and you know, getting back on topic, you know, penalizing people for live streaming it's like what?
Yeah, why?
Because if you opt out of the Nintendo Creators Program so that you can live stream their games, you are now put in the same position as, you know, people like me that just, you know, if you upload a video that's a Nintendo property, you're not going to be able to monetize that.
Right.
So I don't know, man. It's a very, very strange situation. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with it. And as far as other companies are concerned, I don't know. I haven't seen anybody like as anal about it as Nintendo.
Nintendo, yeah, that's by far they are the worst. But I mean, Activision will get you marks.
Yeah.
Konami, like you said, they'll get you marks.
Because I remember I was doing a Let's Play of Castlevania Lords of Shadow, and I was getting like copyright hits, and I'm just like. I was like, "What?" It's made me not even. I never finished that game because I didn't want to.
Just because of that,
I didn't want to deal with it, and like that's why you don't really see any Mario Maker on my Let's Play channel. You don't see any Mario Kart. Like I don't play those games because as a small time, you know, YouTuber, you know, a very small channel with a small following, like it's hard, man. And when you put hours of work into a project or into, you know, a video just to have, you know, the company's like, oh well, we're gonna take all of the ad revenue because it's our IP, no matter what it is. Like there's been instances where I've had like a 20-30 minute video and they'll monetize the entire video because of a 20-second music clip.
Yep.
And it's like, wow, really? Like
exactly.
There has to be something has to be done if you know, if this is gonna continue, like, you know, with streaming and uploading videos. If this is the norm, and sorry, I'm stuttering. In a sense, it is. This is the norm. Like this is the norm, right? Like people have been doing this for years. I've been doing this for years, and you know, stuff like what Nintendo's doing is not gonna do them any favors.
Right. And there's no recourse for anybody unless there's a change in the copyright laws, and that's going to take an act of legislation. And we know what's going on in DC. I mean, they can't tie their shoes. So is just, it's the way of the world, and eventually what's going to happen, there's going to come to a point, because if you look at games like I know a perfect example would be on PUBG, right? Players Unknown Battleground. That was an open beta, right? Or what would they call it? The early release game, right?
Green light game or whatever. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But it's been in there, but it gained its popularity not because it's a great game or great marketing. It gained its popularity because of streamers,
right? Because
people were streaming it and they were like, "What game is this?" They told them what game it was, and people bought it, and people bought it, and people bought it. And now they have the most concurrent users on Steam. Like last week, like 1.5 million concurrent users, to the point where a giant studio, known studio, Epic Games, is essentially ripping them off. Right. But I mean, that's what streaming can do for you. And it seems like some of these smaller, the indies absolutely know. The independent developers absolutely know this.
Yeah.
And some of the other smaller or mid-sized studios are also know this, to the point where they're, like you said, they're doing that Twitch partnership, and they're sponsoring streamers, and they're giving them early release games and such, like, and early access to games and stuff like that. So I think overall, it seems to be going in a good place. There's a few bad actors, but one of the things I did want to talk about, and we've been going on for a little while, so I'll make this short, is an after the fact takedown. And we saw this with PewDiePie, and I'm not defending PewDiePie, whether he deserves it or not. I don't care. It's just the point that the developer decided, I didn't like what he did. He has one of my games on his stream. I'm gonna send a DMCA, and that is extremely scary.
Yeah.
Because if you've had a video up for 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden this company comes and takes it down, that's a problem. And with YouTube, it's a 3 strikes and you're out policy.
Right.
So if somewhere down the line, maybe the business changes, the company is sold. Say, God forbid, Nintendo goes and buys Bluehole, and all of a sudden they start sending all these DMCAs for all the PUBG
content
PUBG
on
hits.
YouTube. Yeah,
on YouTube. Yeah, if your channel already had a hit, you may take another hit and you're gone,
right,
for doing nothing wrong, right? So, I think that is a huge problem.
Yeah, and that PewDiePie situation, that was the first time that we actually saw a post video like DMCA, especially when it was the issue was based on a video for an entirely different game,
something unrelated,
unrelated to that IP, like, altogether. So I don't know. It just shows that these IP holders, they have serious control over it, and they can take down what they want when they want. Right. To whoever they want, because if it can happen to PewDiePie, it can definitely happen to somebody like me.
Right, it can happen to anybody, right? And to be quite honest, it'd be less likely to happen to you than somebody like PewDiePie, because he has millions and millions of followers. But I think that's a huge problem. I don't know what, like I said, outside of some kind of legislative change, I don't see where anything can be done. Essentially, streamers are at the mercy of the IP holder, and if the IP holder decides to change their policy, maybe they want to start up their own channel and do streams that way, or set up a partner program. Whatever they decide they want to do, they can do it, and a streamer essentially has no recourse.
Right. Yeah. Something will definitely need to happen, because it's too much gray area.
Right.
There's way too much gray area when it comes to this kind of thing. And until we get something, to go down in the courts, it's gonna remain like that. Yep. But I foresee a lot of popular Nintendo streamers
just jumping ship,
either jumping ship or just refusing to play Nintendo games, which will see a dramatic decrease in interest in these games, because maybe not nearly as many people are getting their eyes on it.
Right.
A lot of what advertising is in this day and age is seeing somebody else doing it,
exactly.
I mean, a lot of people are putting streamers in like reaction videos in their active marketing. Right,
because this current generation, this I'm gonna call them the connected generation. They don't react to traditional advertisements, billboards and TV commercials. That stuff that most times doesn't even reach them because they're on YouTube and they're Netflixing and they're on their phone and they're playing games. They're not paying attention to traditional media, so they're not seeing this advertisement. Right. And when you have a streamer that's basically showcasing your content, that's your advertisement, and it's not necessarily costing you anything. Unless you want it to cost you something,
right?
And to limit that's essentially you're gonna be limiting yourself.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes of it. I'm curious to see how some of the streamers that I personally watch. I'm curious to see how their channels change, like how they react to this news. Because this is wild, man.
Is definitely it's a mess.
It's a mess. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But yeah, that was the long form discussion. Let us know what you think, because this is we've been having some bangers as far as the long forms have been concerned in the last few episodes. So let us know what you think. Leave us a comment on our social media, or in the comment section, or wherever you are consuming this media. Let us know what you think. Because if you are a streamer or a YouTuber, I definitely want to know your thoughts on this. But let's go ahead and get into the next segment, which is the final thoughts. And this is where we retrace our steps and look over the stories that we talked over today and give our final 2 cents on it. So Boogie, I'll let you go ahead and start. What are your final thoughts?
I'm gonna start from the top. So. Okay. The Atari box, like I said, is looking more like a Steam machine or Steam box than a console. I need more details, but it's definitely not looking like something I would. I mean, early on, it was something I would consider. Now is something I probably wouldn't consider.
Right.
We got professional NBA 2K players. Wow, the world we live in.
Yeah.
I'm glad that the voice actors are going to be getting back to work. The union voice actors will be getting back to work, and I'm glad they got some protections. I think one of the biggest things outside of money, when it comes to money, I'm not going to decide who's going to do what. I mean, you get what you're worth, and if you think you're not getting what you're worth, what you're worth, you should fight for it, and that's good for them. But the transparency, I think, is the biggest issue. Knowing what you're working on and what it's being used for is huge, and I'm glad they were able to crack that egg.
Right.
Atlus and their DMC takedown, I mean, that's heavy-handed, man. I mean, come on. I mean, you guys, if you don't want people to stream your games, you know what? I'm just gonna
yeah.
Sage, head over to Sage, and it was Sonic Retro. Check out some of those games, because some of them are actually really good, and it's going to be a lot of fun, especially if you're a platform a platform junkie. Yeah, definitely go check those out. PS Plus games. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 5, love it or hate it, is definitely you've at least got to give it a try. I mean, and if you're getting it for free, I mean, there's no reason for you. If you're a PlayStation 4 owner, and a PS Plus subscriber, there's absolutely no reason for you not to at least try this out. I mean, it's not going to cost you anything.
Right.
Microsoft's games with gold, like I said, it's been lackluster for probably like the past 6 months. I'm wondering if it's because of them pushing the Game Pass. But I mean, take a look at the games if you're interested in it. They're still free, and it's 4 of them, so there's that. And Nintendo, man, you know what? I just don't know what to say with them. This is traditionally how they've been, extremely overprotective of their IP. I mean, they sue people in stores. If you make a unlicensed Nintendo T-shirt and they see it, they're gonna come get you and rip that shirt off your back. And I mean, this is just Nintendo being Nintendo, and it is. I don't think it's fair, especially the way they fleece the way they fleece their community. Like you said, when you buy a Nintendo, you buy a ton of overpriced plastic as well.
Yeah.
So,
as far as I'm concerned, the Atari box doesn't. It seems like a non-seller, a non-starter for me. Like the more information that we get on it, the more it seems like it's not gonna be something that a lot of people are going to want outside of just like the aesthetics. Like I have an Atari box, so like that'll be the only thing that you can really say about it. Oh man, NBA 2K Esports League. I'm interested to see how it goes once it starts in May of next year. Definitely going to be interesting. I want to see the practice sessions. That's what I want to see, because we talk about practice, so I want to see that. It's good that the voice actors are back to work. I'm curious as to how many projects were put on hold due to the strike, and if there are any like announcements that can be announced now that it's over. Like maybe there's a lot of Microsoft exclusives that were put on hold because of the strike. I don't know. We'll see. As far as Atlus, emulation is another one of those like toss up topics where and it's good, but it can also be used for evil,
Yeah.
So that's another one of those toss-up topics. I'm curious as to how this is going to play out, because if you're doing it the way that it's intended, where you already own the software, and you're just playing it on your PC, that's one thing. But if you're going out of your way to just avoid paying for games, that's something different entirely. So I'm curious to see how that story plays out. Like I said before, with Sage 2017, I am actively playing through the majority of the games that are on the show floor. So if you'd like to get my impressions on it, you can check that out. I'll leave a link to my gameplay channel down in the description. The PS Plus games for October, Metal Gear Solid. Although I know for a fact that I probably will never play it for reasons that Mount Lover gave me. Yeah, he loves Metal Gear, hates the Phantom Pain.
Oh really?
Yeah, he hates that game, and I watched him play through it. He has some videos up where he rage quits it. It's pretty funny.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Whoa. It's I don't know. I think it's worth getting, especially if you're a Metal Gear fan. It's worth playing. And if you're a Metal Gear fan, you probably already played the game. But if you were curious as to what Kojima's last game over at Konami played like, it's available for free. So go ahead and download it. Yeah. The games with gold a little underwhelming, to say the least. A lot of support being given to these indie titles. The Xbox 360 titles have been okay, but I own Rayman, so I'm good with that. Another cool thing, and this is something that we don't always mention, is that the previous game from last month will still be available for a while as well. So like Oxenfree will be available until the second game in the month comes out.
Yeah, because Microsoft staggers it, right?
Yeah, they stagger it. Yeah,
the 1st to the 15th, and then the 16th through the last day of the month.
Yeah. So you can still get the one of the previous month's games until the 15th.
The 15th.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, man, Nintendo, something is gonna need to happen in order to streamline this process, because there's way too much ambiguity when it comes to fair use and putting games up on YouTube. I mean, for a while, the way I got around not getting copyright hits is that I would turn the music down, like damn near muting the music, so I couldn't get hit for audio. But now Nintendo's hitting you on visual content, so there's nothing you can do. If you are uploading or streaming anything Nintendo related, do not expect to make money off of it through ad revenue. You're gonna have to do something else.
Yep.
Because Nintendo is not about you making money off of their stuff. They're not about that, and they never will be. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Let us know what you guys think on these stories. Whether it's the first one, the last one, anyone in between, let us know what you think, because we actively respond to our comments. So if you leave us a comment or suggestion, we'll definitely take a look at it and take it into consideration. And we respond. We definitely respond to you guys. So hit us up on our social media. We are on Twitter at AWGamingNS. We're on Facebook as a weekly gaming news show, or AWGNS. You can just use the call letters. Also, we are on YouTube. The link is tinyurl.com/awgamingns. We don't have a custom link yet because we have yet to reach that 100 subscriber mark, but we are trying very hard to get there, and we're uploading content there pretty often. So check back every week, because not only do we have the weekly gaming news 10 and 10, which gives you guys a snippet as to what we'll be talking about on each podcast, but I also have my first impressions videos where I go through and play a game that most times either in beta or just recently came out, and give my first impressions on it. So we have those two series out right now, with more coming down the line. And so go ahead and subscribe, give us some support. We definitely appreciate it. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting app, we definitely want to thank you. And just in case you don't know, Boogie, why don't you let them know where they can listen to us?
Okay, we are in the general podcasting directory. So if you're using any kind of podcatcher, Overcast, iTunes, or Cast, or any of those type of things, just search us, A Weekly Gaming News Show, or use the call letters AWGNS. We're also in iTunes, Google Play, and TuneIn Radio. Head over there, subscribe, leave us some feedback, leave a comment, rate our show, let us know how we're doing, what you think.
Yeah, definitely, because we do take you guys' comments into consideration, definitely, and especially if you want to submit a story. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for this week. We want to thank you all for tuning into the live show. We want to thank you if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook. We definitely want to thank you, appreciate you all, and we're going to go ahead and bounce up out of here. Again, this is A Weekly Gaming News Show, and we are your hosts. My name is Trenell.
I'm Todd.
And we will catch you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace out.